So I wanted to start off with an anecdote about investing in the cannabis industry and kind of what we were able to do for investors. In the last quarter of 2016, we raised about $1 million from our subscribers, and as of the beginning of this year, that $1 million is now worth over $5 million. So we're able to find investors attractive opportunities in public and private opportunities in Canada, United States, all over the world. This industry has gone global. I mean, Australia, Germany, Colombia, Uruguay, it's everywhere. And the United States is kind of behind the 8 ball. And so are the financial advisors as well as the financial institutions. I was previously working at Raymond James Financial for about 3 years. I was in the equity research department and as well as I started in the compliance department because I felt like the best idea was to learn the rules first. While I was in equity research, starting in January 14, we started receiving phone calls from financial advisors about cannabis stocks. And we had to give them the same answer. We don't cover these companies. We don't recommend these companies. I can send you a list of ticker symbols, but that's it. And between January and March, I got about 500 of these phone calls. No one in my department knew anything about these stocks, but I've been watching them for a little bit. So I quickly became known as a marijuana specialist, and I also quickly quit because this is here, and it was coming. People thought I was crazy back then, but it's nice to see things working out. So I know my time is limited today, so I kind of wanted to discuss on a higher level about the cannabis industry, some of the risks and rewards, the pitfalls, because right now there's more than 400 publicly traded companies. And to be perfectly honest, 90% of these are scams. From their financial structure to the share structure to insiders selling stock, there's a lot of risks, and you really need to be careful before you make a decision. That's why I founded Technical 420, and Technical 420 was a great platform to start learning about these companies and really learning about the management teams, because that's where all the value starts. If you're not run by a good company and your management's not focused on creating value for their shareholders, it's just a losing proposition. And we try to help our subscribers focus really on the quality companies, the ones that are led by a quality team that's executing on its initiatives. It's creating value for shareholders through organic and inorganic growth initiatives, and that's really focused on the future because this industry it changes quickly. Canada's been the hot place to invest. In the last 6 months, I believe about $500 million has entered the industry from investors, investment banks, funds. Their Canopy Growth Corp is the biggest producer in all of Canada. They've recently entered Germany. They're looking at Australia. It's really becoming an amazing opportunity. We started working with a number of these companies because of our relationships with these companies, what we've been able to do for them over the last 2 years, and it's provided me access to these investment deals that you can't really get normally. One of them we're working on right now is called the Green Organic Dutchman, and they are going to be having a 1 million square foot grow facility outside Toronto. 125,000 square feet will be done by the end of the year, and they really have the right pieces in place to make it an incredible opportunity for investors and early investors. And it's kind of anti-establishment, which I like. After their first round of funding, they have 1,300 investors, and they don't really go after the institutions, which is something I like to see because that's how institutions sell, and that's just what they do. And once the institutions get in, that's when I kind of get out. So I kind of want to open this up to questions, see if people have any questions on stocks, investing, any of the basics, and see if there's anything I can help with. Yeah.
So aside from the management aspect of it, what else do you look at? So I know, like you mentioned that you kind of do technical analysis as well. So what factors, I guess, help that?
So the question was, what do I look into besides for the management team? And one of the most important things is the exchange, because there's 3 levels of the OTC, one being the pink sheets, and those are the lowest. Those you don't need to be a reporting company. So you can put out press releases saying that you made the most money ever this day, but you don't need to actually disclose what happened. So that's one of the most important things to look for is, are they reporting? And that's pretty much my first thing. If you guys want to find out for these companies by yourself, the best thing to do is just give them a call, because 90% won't answer, and it's kind of funny, but also sad.
Who else has a question?
So, what is the typical amount of starting funds for an investor to provide to one of these companies?
So for private opportunities like a pre-IPO, typically with the Canadian companies, it's 5,000 Canadian, which is about $3,850. But for public companies, you can start as little as you like. I typically tell people to follow have a strategy focused on being able to average down if it goes the wrong way, and starting with 25 to 30% of your total investment initially, and seeing where it goes. A lot of mistakes people make is they put all their money in initially, and it's just not the best bet.
Next question.
You just mentioned investing in pre-IPO. Have you done that with your clients, and
Yes.
what is the success rate that you've seen?
So we're very, very particular with the companies we'll help in pre-IPO stage. I mean, Emblem was a special company. They have 3 divisions. One is clinics around Canada, so they teach people and doctors and patients what to take and how to take it. One's growing, and the other one's pharmaceutical. The pharmaceutical component's what really I liked about them, because the CEO of that aspect actually was responsible for bringing OxyContin to market. His name's John Stewart. He was the CEO of Purdue Pharma for about 20 years and took 14 drugs to market. So they're a special kind because it's just the diverse nature. We won't really work with pre-IPO companies in the United States right now because of just the regulatory nature. It's a little bit more risky. Reg A Plus is a little bit different because the SEC kind of opened that door. But Canada's been really where we're focused, and we haven't had a bad investment. Since we started Technical 420, we've had 180 trades in our mock portfolio. More than 95% have been profitable, and we've had over 1,100% return on an annual basis. Yeah, because we have a mock portfolio. We'll send out text alerts to our members when we recommend to buy or sell, because we don't actually trade these stocks. We don't want to be kind of pumping stocks that we own. So we focus really on having a mock portfolio where people can follow our moves and just follow kind of that strategy.
Are there any metrics that you utilize that's kind of different than in the cannabis industry, other than what's in a normal type industry or normal corporation?
Yeah, I mean, you can't analyze these stocks like any other ones. One of the interesting ways I look at licensed producers versus the clinics is the dollar cost average per patient. Licensed producers right now, they're really overvalued. I mean, the average cost per patient is about $1,000. If you look at the clinics, the cost per producer is in the dollars. So that's an interesting way to look at it. I'll also look at the revenue growth, the margins, the typical types of analysis, but also see how that changes, where it's coming from. It's interesting because a lot of companies, they try to take on too much at one time. So seeing how they're able to focus on initiatives and really focus on completing milestones is something I look at as well, the success rate and that. I speak to the management pretty much every day. We talked about 20 to 30 CEOs or just executive members every day.